Now, in order to understand the attractiveness of these advisors, and particularly the IFCs in which they're based, we have to think, well, maybe London and New York get all the business just because Chinese advisors are so bad. That would seemingly make sense, is that if a Beijing-based acquirer went to a Mexico City company, sorry to keep using Mexico City as an example, and the advisors in both China and Mexico City were just so bad, then they would be forced to look for advisors in other jurisdictions. But we show in the paper that we can rule out this explanation as a cause of IFC advisor selection. Namely, Chinese advisors can compete, and we show their competitiveness along two dimensions. We show the deal values that these advisors handle domestically, and we show the amount of deals that these advisors handle. And what we find is that advisors, of course, in Beijing and Shanghai, they represent very large clients with very large transaction values. But we see even domestically advisors in smaller jurisdictions, in Nanjing and Chengdu and Wuhan, they still advise relatively large amounts of companies and large amounts of money, if you will, flowing through the M&A pipeline. So it's not the case that Chinese companies are choosing advisors because there are no domestic alternatives. And indeed, we see the similar pattern at the international level. We see it repeating itself at the domestic level, even though there are highly qualified advisors in smaller jurisdictions. The majority of that advisory work is concentrated in 2 or 3 jurisdictions. Now, in the literature, you will see the explanation that many Chinese companies use these foreign advisors because they want to round-trip money. In other words, they want to send money outside the country through this going out policy, but they want to be able to bring the money back into China in order to take advantage of very profitable investment opportunities at home. And we find that even after taking these factors into account, there's no way that such round-tripping could even begin to explain why external advisors are so popular for Chinese companies. So the paradox that we see in the literature and the data are that Chinese advisors can compete, but they don't compete. Now, why is that, and what can advisors in places like Istanbul learn from this experience?